Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session all about drinking moderately while on holiday. And I was working with a client that had dramatically reduced their wine consumption to a level that they were very proud of, but they were worried about an upcoming holiday to Rome. And they thought, because they like drinking wine with good food, that it would be either something where they would be depriving themselves and wanting to drink but feeling that they couldn't, or having the temptation to drink to excess, which they also didn't. So this is about moderate based on their definition. And their definition was 1 or 2 glasses of wine with a meal. And for them, they would prefer an evening meal. But it uses multiple levels of disassociation and nested loops to get them into that point of thinking about what it would actually be like to do that, to actually feel that they're not depriving themselves or having too much, and that there's various metaphors here, like being in the lane of a motorway, that if you drift off either side, you can just kind of correct yourself. But also to feel that even if they did have excess, that would just feel like they're stealing tomorrow's moderation. And framing it that way means, well, why would I do that? Because they actually end up having a worse day the following day, which for them would be true. So there's a bit going on here. And I think who would benefit most is not those people that want to quit drinking, but want to have a better relationship with alcohol and feel that they can navigate either holidays, and this would also apply not to physical vacation type of holidays, but even festive periods. A lot of people feel this way over the Christmas season, because again, it feels like all bets are off, all rules are different, and a lot of people drink to excess over that period. So if you feel like that's you and you want to drink moderately during a vacation, a holiday, or the festive season, then you might benefit from this session. If you want something more customized, or if you want to access any of my free resources like a free course or anything else, check the link in the description and you will see the ability to either schedule a free consultation with me or download some free stuff, whichever feels more desirable for you, or do it all. For now though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. As you breathe in slightly deeper than normal. And as you exhale, just allow that breath to feel like you're releasing any tension, any stress, any worries. Feeling like each breath takes you deeper and more relaxed than before. And just focus your attention on a tiny dot that you can imagine is there in your forehead. And as you focus your attention on that dot, I want you to temporarily increase the tension. Your eyes are looking up at that dot. You might notice any tension in your forehead. Breathe in, focus on that point, but as you exhale, just release all the muscles in your eyelids. There there on your forehead, just release it all. Allow that relaxation to drift down into your cheeks and jaw. And as you breathe, just allow your body to do the breathing for you, where you don't have to force it at all. Just allow your body to help you breathe. Breathing in deep, exhaling for longer. As you awaken those muscles in your diaphragm. Not just the chest doing the breathing, but the diaphragm too. So you can breathe in more and exhale for longer, releasing any of those old ideas that aren't serving you anymore. Because for many years you had a belief that you needed to drink. You needed that glass of wine. It was really helping. But now you realize that many of those thoughts and ideas and beliefs were just narratives. They were never true. So every outward breath, just release more of similar things. Out-of-date ideas. Old cravings. Perceptions. I want you to get a feeling that you have full permission to feel proud of all of the progress you've already made. I want you to congratulate yourself on all those subtle changes that have compounded, evolved, to get you to this point. The point where you can feel that you can take it or leave it when it comes to a glass of wine. And maybe you have an explicit or implicit criteria of what it would take to feel like you do want it. And maybe that would be a meal at a nice restaurant, or celebrating something specific. But I want you to set an intention now as to how you get to do both. To enjoy a nice meal and to celebrate something without crossing the line from moderation to excess. That's it. Think of what that is for you. And maybe that's 2 standard glasses of wine. And beyond that becomes excess. And you might know that it becomes excess because your body warns you, reminds you, tells you, nope, that's too much. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. As your physical body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine drifting through space and time and finding yourself in the center of the Colosseum in Rome. And let's just imagine that there are no tourists there that day. Blue skies above, autumn sun shining on your skin, and you have the whole Colosseum for you. And I want you to get a feeling of being in the center, looking around, seeing those impressive stone shapes, structures, you in the center of this incredible stadium of the past. And here in this place, I want you to make a distinction between choice and obligation of choosing to do something and having to do something. And I want you to think back to the old gladiators there in that Colosseum, many of which were slaves. They didn't want to be there. They had to be there. And just think of all of that stress, coercion, threats, all of that heavy energy. And I want you to feel that when something has to be a certain way, it can feel like that there is no choice. Whereas the spectators looking from the stands above, they could choose to sit there or they could choose to leave. It was their choice. And I want you to feel that, isn't it an easy decision to make? Given the choice of being the slave forced into a situation or the spectator choosing whether to watch or not, that it's better to have freedom than coercion. And I want you to think back to a time when you felt that you had to have that bottle of wine, even if it was just in the same house. Maybe you felt at times that you needed that glass of wine. And I want you to get a feeling that that isn't freedom. Many people describe breaking a habit or an addiction as feeling liberated. And I want you to feel that there was a time when you felt that way, but now you feel completely free. You can choose. No obligation, no having to, no needing to. You can choose to if you want to. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to float up out of the center of that Colosseum and fly over Rome to the city of the Vatican. I want you to imagine seeing that impressive cathedral, floating down to St. Peter's Square. And just imagine you have the whole of the Vatican to yourself. Just imagine walking into the cathedral, finding yourself in the Sistine Chapel and looking up at that incredible art. And maybe you can picture the two fingers almost touching. And I want you to come to an evaluation. That's how far away you are from this healthy future that you desire. Some people never make it this close, but you're there, touching distance from really becoming this healthy version of you. Even just 2 months ago, it was much further away than what it is now, but now it feels that close. And all it takes is to continue the journey that you're already on. So as you stare up at the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, I want you to imagine how you would want things to be. Your relationship with alcohol in Rome for those 10 days, avoiding both extremities. Deprivation might mean not drinking anything or not having a drink with that evening meal. And excess might be more than 2 glasses, waking up with hangovers, feeling it in the head and the stomach. But as you stare into the ceiling, I want you to imagine what it would be like to enjoy those 10 days with just the occasional glass or 2, with a meal, any meal. But maybe you decide that the evening meal would feel more enjoyable than a lunchtime meal. And just imagine different places, maybe inside a restaurant, maybe outside, table and chairs looking out at a piazza. But I want you to observe yourself where it's exactly as you would want it to be. Moderation. No deprivation and no excess. Exactly the right relationship with alcohol for you. And I want you to imagine that moderation is like driving a car in the middle of your lane. Intuitively, if you're driving in a lane and you find yourself coasting outside of your lane, it's no big deal. You just steer it back in your lane. So if it ever feels like deprivation, then you can steer it a bit more in the middle. And if it ever feels a bit like excess, steer it the other direction. Because you are in control here. You decide what the relationship is. And just imagine seeing yourself in a particular restaurant, enjoying a meal. See yourself ordering maybe 1 glass, but not sure whether to have the second. I want you to step into that version of you and feel what it would feel like to feel empowered, to enjoy, but feel no desire to drink to excess. And you know that if you did, all you're doing is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You would be taking tomorrow's moderation to create excess for today. And that's a bad choice. I want you to feel that the way that you maximize your enjoyment across all the days is not deprivation and not excess, but moderation. Getting it just right. And if it feels like you know exactly what that would be like, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to feel that you don't normally eat at a restaurant every evening. So this is training your brain to be moderate whenever you eat out. A glass or 2 with a nice meal is moderation. And you might be having more meals because it's a holiday, but when you return, you will feel that you will take that type of moderation linked to that context. So when you return, there's no desire to drink every day, but only when you go out for that nice meal or special occasion will you feel that it's moderate to have a glass or 2 of wine, and that's more than enough. I want you to feel that you are training your brain to have a moderate desire and no more. And then imagine what it would feel like on your final day, flying back home. Imagine you're on the flight or maybe in the departure lounge, smiling because you're proud of yourself. You feel that you got it just right, not depriving yourself and not drinking to excess, but just the right amount. And then imagine landing. And just imagine that next day, returning back to your home, picking up the dogs, feeling like you're returning to a normal schedule, normal routines, but you're bringing that moderation with you. And there's no desire to even think about drink. Your desire is to get some delicious vegetables, some good quality natural foods, to have every ingredient you need for a delicious, healthy meal. And I want you to imagine returning, opening up the door to your home, walking inside, feeling that you have trained at altitude. Because if you can avoid drinking to excess on holiday, then you have absolute certainty that you can do it in normality. And as you enter the home, I want you to imagine seeing something that relates to swimming, and to feel that you can build on this foundation of pride, this momentum of health, to unleash a desire to swim. And whenever you swim, you're going to feel energized, galvanized, feeling like you have awakened this healthy, reinvigorated, vitalized version of you. And if you feel that this holiday becomes the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new chapter, and that new chapter is healthier than the one before, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And so it becomes. And I want you to imagine finding yourself all the way back there in the Sistine Chapel, staring up at a ceiling, feeling that you were lost in a wonderful daydream. Imagine leaving the cathedral and floating all the way back to the center of the Colosseum. But I want you to feel free, liberated, and empowered. And then imagine floating all the way back to your present, realizing that this has been a wonderful journey in your imagination of thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, and dreams within dreams. But now it's time to return back to the here and the now. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've got some value from this episode, I'd like to ask a favor. And that is that all of the platforms have some way of you telling us that you like it. And that might be hitting the like button, that might be giving it a 5-star rating or a short review. And if it's possible, and it is on Spotify and YouTube, if you can drop a comment with what value you got from the show or anything you liked in particular, that really helps the algorithm to put it in front of new people. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you again soon in the next one.